Update. My fiancé put up a pillow barrier in our bed and won't take it down. TL. Doctor. You were right. I'm autistic. Hi Reddit. I'm giving an update since a bit has happened since my post and I thought it might be an interesting update for anyone who remembers. I'm the crazy person who received a swift and unified response from Reddit that I was wrong in the situation. I can't link my post because it was locked and then removed. But long story short, my fiancé, now husband, had constructed a pillow barrier between us in bed. This was an escalation after he had requested we use separate covers. To this poor man's defense, it is because I'm a horrible person to sleep with. I'm violent, and I talk, cry, and scream at least a few nights a week. While the pillow barrier initially hurt my feelings because I love him and our cuddle time, the feedback I received was to not be so selfish and let the man do what he can to get his sleep. Some of you were kinder than others in packaging this response, but pretty much everyone agreed. There were a few posts, though, that mentioned that the sleeping troubles I have, oversensitivity to light, sound, heat, touch, sounded like a sensory processing order and suggested I was autistic. It was hard for me to really consider that given how old I am. 38. And would have hoped it would have been caught by now. I'm no stranger to psychiatrists or therapy. Well, I started reading up on adult autism and as I was reading typical symptoms I swear my jaw was gaped open. All these things I assumed were just quirks or otherwise unrelated characteristics of my personality were all strung together under one diagnosis. Sometimes being so nervous about when to speak up that I end up not saying anything at all. I went 3 months after starting this new job without saying a word during meetings. And then crying afterwards because I thought I was stupid and didn't deserve the promotion. Difficulty coping with change. Went into a deep depression after a new job. After engagement. After we bought a house. Sensitivity to light, sound, smell, touch. I hate being touched or hugged by anyone other than my husband. Embarrassingly, I do make a lot of weird sounds and voices. I just thought I was a little quirky. But I guess it's deeper than that. The thing that got to me were autistic meltdowns. The entire reason I ever sought out therapy was because there were so many occasions where I honestly could not control my words or actions. Totally blinded by emotion. I assumed this was some degenerate characteristic I inherited from my abusive father. Luckily for me, the worst it's ever come out has been as a snippy email or a bitchy interaction at work. Nothing to breach professionalism. But still, these things would get me so worked up they'd consume me. I'd fixate on it for hours. Sometimes days. Most times I wouldn't have an outburst. But keep it inside and be filled with a blind rage so strong all I could do was hold my head and cry and wait for it to be over. I'd write scathing emails to people and then delete them. Make up imaginary conversations where I really let them have it. And in general just stewed in my anger. It was so bad sometimes I'd just shake and hold myself in my office to try and calm down. I started meeting with a psychiatrist to control that, which has been successful so far. I am happy to say. Well, anyway, I told my therapist about all this and he referred me to a specialist. A child behavior specialist. It was a little embarrassing sitting in a waiting room designed for kids as a 38-year-old. But life goes on. We spent a while talking and she asked a lot of questions. But ultimately decided that my behaviors and thoughts are consistent with ASD. It's rocking my world. And a lot of my self-esteem. But at least it explains a lot. She mentioned there are a couple medications that could help my symptoms. But I'm already on Wellbutrin and Xanax and in regular therapy because of trauma I experienced and witnessed at a young age. My husband has been completely unfazed by all of this. At least, from his perspective. Even if it's a new label for me, I've been able to piece together a decent life. I make good money working in a senior leadership position in a healthcare organization. I don't have many friends, but I do have a few. I love him more than anything, and with the help of my therapist have spent the last year working on ways to show him how much I care and be a more present and loving partner. So there you go. Yes, I'm batshit crazy, as many of you confirmed. But now, I'm apparently autistic too. Oh, and the pillow barrier still stands. Thanks Reddit. I guess. Edit. Changed wording medications. Up. He already knows you. This is just a label for part of who you are, which he already knows. So you shouldn't be surprised that this isn't fazing him. Like if you were eating an ice cream flavor and liked it but didn't know the name. Knowing the name doesn't change you liking it. P. Good for you, Up. It sounds like you have built a good, happy life. Well done. I have a suggestion that might help with your restless sleep. Get a weighted cool blanket for yourself. Summer. And a weighted blanket. Winter. If the cool blanket works in the summer. My spouse has restless legs and can kick violently, twitch, and shake on random nights. We tried the weighted cool blanket and it works wonders. If she feels any of the things that might trigger a restless night, e.g. tired, anxious, etc., she pulls the weighted blanket over her and sleeps until morning. Good luck. Don't feel bad about the child behavior specialist. I had to see one as well at 38. Got diagnosed ADD. Made necessary changes to my life and doing much better. I'm 68 years old and it was only 5 years ago that I was finally diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum. Now my sensory overload issues make a heck of a lot of sense. I never understood why I couldn't live with someone. It's because I could never relax. I'm autistic, suffer from PTSD. A lot of things give me sensory overload. I remember telling one partner that I just needed some time to myself and he kept whining that it meant I didn't love him. I told another partner to just find a damn coloring book and get out of my face for about 2 hours. I could never understood why I couldn't go to movies without feeling disoriented, not being able to drive after I left the movie. I could never understood why I couldn't go to a party and stay for more than a couple of hours. I could never understand why I couldn't have company until 11 at night and then it took me hours to be able to wind down and go to sleep. Once you fully understand how your brain works and what's going on, it's easy to adjust and ask for what you want in relationships. It's easier now for me just to explain to people that I feel overloaded, I need some quiet time. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Hey, what happened to your hilarious pillow barrier banner? While I wasn't quite your age when I was diagnosed, I was diagnosed later in my life than most people. At the age of 17. Though I'm now only 20. It gave me a better chance to get more specialized therapy and also gave me a lot of peace of mind. It definitely will rock your world for a bit. But ultimately, you'll feel kinder to yourself and feel more whole by better having an understanding of your psyche. Good luck, my friend. Separate beds still isn't a bad idea. In fact, I highly encourage it even with your new diagnosis. There's no stigma against sleeping separately. It's actually normal, but because most people don't care to talk about it, that it's not well known. Cuddling for a few minutes before separating to different beds is still validating the intimacy needed. There won't be need for a pillow barrier because your husband won't be scared a random hand is going to crack his nose or have his back kicked through the pillows. You'll each have your own safe bed. I was diagnosed earlier than you, around age 27, but I still remember the same feeling when I started reading about how autism presents in adults as you describe. While discovering my eccentricities had a unified cause didn't magically fix them. It did help me to accept myself. I don't think it excuses some of the more damaging behaviors, but it provides a framework and roadmap to understanding them. Also, weighted blankets are the bomb. Hugs. Metaphorical, obviously. When I was diagnosed, late 20s, it was hard to accept at first. Even though I highly suspected I was autistic, it took me about a year to see my diagnosis as a definitely no questions asked good thing. It is so great to know and understand a bit better who you are. And oh yay, +1 on weighted blankets. Also eye masks and earphones. Bose sleep buds changed my life for the better. Yo, I'd also recommend seeing a sleep specialist, specifically a neurologist who specializes in sleep. The talking, crying, screaming, violence while sleeping is a sign of a sleep disorder. Which one? Couldn't tell you because there are a number of them out there. You can also have more than one because brains are fun. Needing perfect conditions to sleep at night may also be a sign of a sleep disorder. You'll want to visit a neurologist versus a pulmonary doc, since your issues likely aren't caused by apnea. I got my diagnosis of autism at 27 years old. It was actually brought about in parallel to some more minute mental health condition exploration. Namely, OCD. Does having a word for it change your world? Nope. Do you find an awesome community of folks who just get it? Yep. Welcome to playing the game with the tutorial. Peas. No advice for sleep, but I hope it improves. Your husband loves you. Sounds like things are going well. I highly recommend this site. https://onnetwork.org. Don't know how much research you've done as far as late diagnosis, but it's a very common phenomenon for high-functioning women. Also, I am very curious what that doctor would have considered an appropriate medical treatment for autism. Face with raised eyebrow. Ah, your husband sounds like mine. My borderline personality diagnosis rocked my world and felt like it put everything upside down. But he was completely calm and unfazed by it. He said he loved me when I was crazy and he'll love me while I get help, lol. It's amazing to have someone like that with you in life? I'm glad you've discovered this about yourself, and perhaps now you can find ways to deal with life easier now that you understand yourself more. Welcome. It's normal to feel very strongly when you find out later in life. In my case, I still don't know how a nonverbal fourth grader spending every recess in the office to reorganize their baseball cards didn't set off any red flags, but person shrugging medium light skin tone male sign. It also gets easier to crowdsource effective coping strategies when you have a community and aren't just unexplained different. My husband is autistic and I'm twice exceptional. We have had a pillow barrier. He put it up for 8 years. At first I was upset, but in the end by accepting him as he was in his most vulnerable time. From a mammal standpoint, our intimacy level went way up. Our relationship has been a struggle. Our autisms are different kinds and also manifest differently. Each year is easier than the last though. My point is, the barrier won't stop the important things like getting closer, sex, moving forward through milestones in the relationship. This might be a good post for our autism. I have ADHD, and your story of knowing a bunch of symptoms is just weird personality quirks I've had my whole life is all too familiar. So as the mother of an adult autistic, Latuda works wonders if you're interested in medication.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.